A show that tackles the big issues affecting the BVI and the rest of the Caribbean. Searches for answers to today's big questions and gives viewers a unique perspective on developing stories. Follow the big story with me, Kathy Richards, only on JTV. This show is brought to you by the National Bank of the Virgin Islands, Cyril B. Ramney Tertola Pier Park, NV Salon Spa Nail and Barbershop, the Wellness Center, Medical and Behavioral Health Clinics, Ticely Cross Deliciously Smooth Cider, HOV Medical, and Digicel. Sign up for Digicel Plus Home Light Bundles, faster internet, movies, and sports. This is The Big Story. I'm Kathy Richards. I want to thank you so much for joining us for this edition. In studio with me is Dr. Richard Georges, President of the HLSCC, but the cat today is all about what you love the most. I almost, when planning this, I said, you know what, I'll ask him to start by reciting one of his favorite pieces. No. It's a pleasure to have you on set, Dr. Georges.
Pleasure to be here, Kathy. Much appreciated.
The BVI Lit Fest is on this year, the third year or fourth year?
It's the third year running, and biggest yet festival. We have over 40 guest writers and speakers, and we're quite excited. Yeah. Oh no, we have about 25 guests coming in, and the rest are local authors and speakers. But we have a really exciting program of events. As one of the first events as part of the Culture and Tourism Month of November.
Okay, but before we get into that aspect of it, let's do some background. I think this year would have started, given it's the third year, it would have started back in the COVID-19 pandemic.
That's correct.
Give us the background to why how this Lit Fest came around.
Right, sure. I think, well, we could go back a little bit further to 2018 when there was Mocha Magazine, of which I'm a founder, had a writer's workshop with some grant money from the British Council in the UK. And so we ran a masterclass workshop for 1 week for 8 emerging poets in the Caribbean. And one of our local poets, April Glasgow, was one of the cohort of the 8 poets that went through the masterclass. That was a week long, and we had Raymond Antrobus, who is a well-awarded poet in the UK of Jamaican descent, and the seeds really started to be sown there. At the time, Honorable Luce Hart Smith was the director of culture, and we organized a book fair. It was a modest affair, a modest thing, at the Arbitration Center that we held, because you remember at that point a lot of places were still in disrepair. There were not a lot of venues that we could use, so we did that. Now, we've had local book fairs in the past. What made that one difference that we had about 7 or 8 international guests who then, in the context of that book fair, performed their poems. And this was all held at the International Arbitration Center. So the seeds for the festival really were sown there. And of course, we had, remember, the current director of culture was also very involved, Dr. Kathy Smith, and she took the guests around on historical tours throughout the BVI, and they really loved and appreciated that. And so in 2021, I think it was, we had the first BVI Lit Fest Festival, and that was really under the auspices, not so much of me as president, but more so as the poet laureate. One of the things I committed to do in my tenure as poet laureate was to amplify and celebrate and encourage literature and the writing and reading of literature in the BVI. So Lit Fest was part of that. And we collaborated with the Department of Culture to establish the festival. And we partnered in the delivery of a virtual Lit Fest, which took the form of several virtual panel discussions and readings over the course of about a week in November 2021. So last year was the first time we did it in person.
I'm happy you didn't stay virtual.
No. That was never the intention. We also wanted to be a situation where we could bring writers, primarily of Caribbean descent, to the BVI to introduce the BVI. This is Culture and Tourism Month, right? So to introduce the BVI as a sort of a destination for writers and publishers to explore, as well as to encourage young readers and local writers to see what broader or wider community they could be a part of.
What that broader and wider community may look like for those who just do their little writing on the side and say, you know, I just wanted to write the book or want to put together a collection of poetry and just put it in the library locally. What is it that they would be exposed to, having broadened their horizon?
Well, I think we'll be surprised, particularly, I mean, the Caribbean is a larger space than the BVI, but it's still not an immense space. And so you'll be surprised at how much familiarity, how much commonality we share with our other Caribbean citizens, and same types of issues and struggles and dilemmas that we are trying to work through in our poetry and in our fiction writing, in our memoirs or non-fiction writing. We might discover that there are other people going through similar things. The other thing is also to kind of be aware of what sorts of techniques, traditions, skills are being developed, trends, etc. in whatever genre of writing that we are reading or writing might be going on. And so it's always useful to be able to engage with other people, you know, of similar mindset who are writing or reading the same things you are. And, you know, we can explore that through social media. There are lots of great Caribbean book blogs and Instagram accounts and TikTok accounts and etc. But you really can't minimize the face-to-face interaction, the intimacy that you can experience speaking to somebody who is going through the same thing as you, and what that does, not just for your own edification or enjoyment, but also for the improvement of your craft if you are a writer. You know, so we want to encourage those kinds of exchanges.
Okay, and oftentimes I say, yes, while we are Caribbean people, we do, like you said, go through almost the same thing. The only difference that we have is our accents.
Right, and the other thing too is the diaspora, right? So you would find a lot of Caribbean writers living abroad. So you know, we have in our guest list, we have Caribbean writers who are based in Canada, the US, the UK, Italy, France, who are all coming, you know, to some extent coming home with this festival. And I think also, you know, one thing that is common is that despite them living in these far-flung areas of the globe, they all tend to write about the Caribbean.
Yeah.
You know, so that's one thing that kind of links and unites everybody. And some of them are actually some of them are born and live abroad. Others are born abroad, but are from Caribbean parentage and writing about the Caribbean.
So you still own your Caribbean heritage.
Yes, exactly.
And so with this being 3 years and counting, like we would have spoken about before we really got on camera, is that this thing has really grown.
Yeah, it is. It's growing very quickly. And I'm not sure if we're really excited about that, but we're also a little bit nervous because it is quite a lot to manage, and we're just really excited about the program that we have to offer the public this year. So I'll let you know. So on Friday, Friday during the day, we are on campus at the main campus at Parakeeta Bay in the auditorium and the library, and we're going to have panel discussions in 2 locations going on simultaneously, so you can kind of pick where you want to go. And we'll be bringing students from every secondary school who wants to come to the campus. And so we're taking care of things like ferry and ground transportation and lunch, and providing an experience for these students to be exposed to the program of the day on Friday. But one thing I want to say is that one thing that we've always done, we're 3 years old, but one thing
you creep in.
one thing we've done each of the years is, yes, it's a lit fest, and that is the primary focus of the festival, but we also see and recognize that there are topics and areas of discussion that have real, currency and real importance to the public and to young people as well. And so what we've always done I'll say it again, is to make a little space for those conversations.
Okay.
So while there might not be yet a book or literature on those topics, these are areas where maybe books should be written, by locals on these topics. So last year we had environmental conversations, local economy conversations, and there have been books that we will highlight in those panels, all the books by locals that we would highlight. But this year, we'll have conversations about, legacy businesses. We'll have conversations about local filmmakers, about local songwriters.
Okay.
Just to try and to ensure that these are areas that we think are ripe for richer conversation. And we'll have some panel discussions. There'll be a panel led by Shea Alexander from O'Neill Alexander Consulting, where he's looking at business legacy conversation. So he will have Michael Thomas from CTL. You'll have Patty Romney from Romasco Group, and Nona Vanterpool from Vanterpool. These are legacy businesses, and we see where that generation that she'll be talking to have carried the family's brand, if you will, and talk to them about what their plans are for the next stage. I think these are really interesting conversations to be had, and I think the genesis of that particular conversation comes from Michael O'Neill's book about shareholding and the development of the local economy post-slavery. So I think these, it's interesting that we use a local book as a way to inspire a current, older book, a current conversation. So those are some of the interesting things that we're doing to try and introduce particularly younger Virgin Islanders and residents about the topics of discussion and what sorts of literary connections there might be to those conversations.
Okay, I've always pondered, and because we see so many efforts that lends to trying to encourage persons to read, to write more, to read more, to write more. Are we seeing that rebirth of that trend that we used to have prior to the intervention of technology, where we always on these gadgets? Are we going back there?
I would hope so, because I don't think technology needs to be a substitute. I think it can be a tool, an asset to encourage and to improve literacy. I'll give you an example. On Saturday morning, we're having the Literary Wonderland. It's a children's book camp at the library at the college from 9 to 12, ages 6 to 12.
And it will be all decorated Wonderland kind.
Yes, so they're really getting excited about it. But at that book camp, and we're going to have some treats. We're going to have ice cream and popcorn, the things that attract kids.
Slushies.
Yes, and a bouncy castle and all that good stuff. But in addition to that, we're going to be really celebrating the legacy of Teacher Jenny's children's books.
Yes.
So we will have Miss HLSCC, and we will have the Prince and Princess of the festival. Yes. Reading Teacher Jenny's books to the attendees.
What a great honor.
But in terms of the technology, we have received access to an app called the Itty Bitty Book app, which allows kids to kind of write their own books. So they basically log on to the computer or the tablet, and they have they can write or draw, and they can add clip art images or graphics, and can sort of create their own story.
This is a free open app that is out there already?
Yes, it's out there already, and we're going to be introducing it to our attendees on Saturday. So we're excited about that. So they can kind of take their books and read them to their parents when they're done. Okay,
so over how many days the fest is going to be?
So we're starting on Friday, so Friday morning at the college, and people can go to bvilitfest.com where they can see the schedule, and they can also register or let us know, pre-register for which sessions you want to attend, just so we can know. On Friday evening at Brandywine Estate Restaurant, we're going to have Sunset Stories, where we take 3 award-winning novelists, Charmaine Wilkinson, who wrote the novel Black Cake, which is now being adapted into a miniseries on Hulu. We have Alicia McKenzie, who won the Commonwealth Short Story Prize. And we have Tiffany Yannick, who's a National Book Award winner, and a good friend of the BVI and HLSCC, and she's a Sintomian.
Okay.
So an award-winning Sintomian novelist.
You mean family?
Yeah, man. Yeah. She has Anna Guardian and West End connections and stuff.
Okay.
She's good. But those three novelists will be reading at Brandywine Estate Restaurant at 7 o'clock on Friday night.
Okay, it's free and open to
yes,
the public?
well, drinks on sale, drinks and tapas on sale.
And the restaurant bars.
Yes, but the event itself is free. And all of our events are free to attend, except for our workshops, and I'll get to the workshops. But on Friday, we have a wide range of guests. I'll really do myself a disservice if I try to list them all. I told you it's 47 guests. But we have poets, we have novelists, we have non-fiction writers. One of the writers who we'll have is Afua Hirsch, who does a lot of writing for The Guardian in the UK. Produces documentaries for BBC and ITV, etc., primarily focused on Africa and African continent and the black experience in the UK. But her new book is called Decolonizing My Body.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's a really
that's interesting.
stuff.
Yeah,
yes,
that sets your mind thinking.
Yes, so we're having at our reception event, which is not a public event, but a reception event, she'll be there for those guests, and she'll be attending the other events on Friday and Saturday if you want to go and pick her brain, for example.
Yeah.
On Saturday, like I said, Saturday morning, we have the children's book camp at the college library. And then we also have, that's from 9 to 12. At 10 o'clock, we're going to have 3 writers' workshops. So all of our aspiring writers out there, we're going to have a poetry workshop run by the Puerto Rican poet Ana Portnoy Brimba. We're going to have...
How do you remember these names?
We're going to have a fiction workshop run by Tiffany Yannick, and a non-fiction workshop run by travel writer named Faith Adiele, who's also going to be on a panel discussion on the Friday morning, looking at ethical tourism. Okay. Saturday evening now, Kathy, keep up.
Yeah, keeping up. I think your mental notes here.
Yes, on Saturday evening we're at Sushi Bar at 6 o'clock.
Okay, that's Sunny Caribbean.
Yes, exactly, for our poetry showcase. Okay. So we're going to have 6 exceptional, award-winning international poets, and then we're going to have 3 local poets whom we're showcasing. Okay. All right, and it's a hefty. The prices that these international poets have won is really impressive, and I think the 3 local poets we have are 3 of the very promising. Emerging writers that we have. So we have April Glasgow, Kamal Letsum, and Errol Percival, who we are showcasing at that event. On Sunday now, to cap it all off,
wow.
Sunday from 10 to 2, we'll be at Long Bay Beach Resort for our book brunch.
Okay, and that's down the west.
West End, yes. And the book brunch is featuring Jonathan S. Goffrey, who is a Jamaican-American writer, and who is shortlisted for the biggest prize in fiction right now, which is the Booker Prize. So we're looking forward to that, and he will be in conversation with Cindy Allman, who people might know as Book of Sins on Instagram, Caribbean Bookstagrammer, I believe is what they call her. So we're really excited about that. I have to really thank, because this would not be possible with our long list of sponsors, but the chief premier sponsor that we have is Unite BVI Foundation. Awesome. In addition to them, we have some diamond sponsors. It will be VP Bank through their Guido Ferrer Foundation. And then we have DLT Solutions, which is a local fintech company, and those are our diamond sponsors. And we have several other
and they're chipping in to make this.
Yes, really making this a reality.
Because like you said, it seems as though this year's budget is going to double last year's.
The festival is growing, and I think that's what we wanted to do. And we would love, for any businesses out there that are looking at the festival who might attend one of the events and get excited about it, hopefully they will chip in to the sponsor group so that next year we can make it an even bigger and more inclusive event.
You have a vision for next year?
Yes, bigger sometimes is better.
Because sometimes it's just good.
Yeah, so we do have some guests already confirmed for next year's festival. Yes.
Okay, and you know what I see with this, although it's yes, doing a lot of education and all of that, we're also tapping into the tourism aspect of
Yes.
it continues to bring, and it's just yesterday I would have done an interview with Abby O'Neill, and you know it talks about even these events are planned here in the Virgin Islands, people on the outside just keep knocking at the door.
We've been getting a lot of inquiries about you know, where to stay and these kinds of things. And I have to say, I really have to thank, you know, we do this as a collaborative event. So, you know, so while we do a lot of the groundwork, we have our partners with the Department of Culture. So we always collaborate and coordinate with them. So we understand how the Lit Fest fits into the theme and how it fits into the next event and so on and so forth. And then also Tourist Board. So Tourist Board actually is sponsoring one of the guests and some of the events. So we're really grateful to that, and providing a lot of support in terms of the guest experience when people arrive and all of that good stuff. So we really see it as, you know, the Lit Fest is a real, you know, I think it like we start off the Culture and Tourism Month, you know, and then Lobster Fest caps it off, and we just try to make it as big and as wonderful as possible to keep attracting people to come to the BVI.
Awesome, lovely. I don't recall attending any events in the past.
Shame on you, Kathy.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the shame and I'll wear it like a big girl. But I'm not gonna be here next year saying the same thing, because I'm gonna make it my duty to attend. This sounds really interesting. Want to have the feel of, you know, what it is really on the ground there. I'm not such a bookwormy girl. I love reading. I love poetry. So. To get the experience, you have to be there.
Yes.
And while I'm here encouraging persons to go out, I'm encouraging myself to go out and experience this. What is the biggest thing that you would have learned over these 3 years from putting on this?
The biggest thing that I've experienced, I would say, is just the camaraderie that's developed and how quickly people fall in love with the BVI. I know last year we had to cancel an event because of the torrential rains.
Yeah.
But it seems like that didn't dampen the spirits of the guests. Okay. And so while we were kind of sad about the guests, you know, really loved the place and loved the people and loved the community that was developed. So I think I would say for myself and my writing career, the thing that really opened me up in terms of what I could possibly do was attending festivals like this in other Caribbean spaces. You know, so I really think this is, if you're an aspiring writer, this is an event that really can open up your mind. You know, you don't have to go to Jamaica or Trinidad or Barbados or someplace or New York to see a big Caribbean literary festival. We can bring one
right here.
Home.
Yeah.
You know, so anybody who has any aspirations to write anything in poetry, in fiction,
you don't even have to have the aspiration. Just be curious.
Yes.
Because you never know what will develop from being curious, going there, seeing that.
Exactly.
Oh, it might give birth to something.
Exactly.
I think you would have sold it really well. So we look forward to this weekend, a great one. Like I said, you know, I'm encouraged, and I can bet my last dollar so many other persons are encouraged to hear that this is growing from
and it's all free, right?
And it's all free. You know, go in your pocket.
Except for the workshops. The writers' workshops
yeah,
are
the
free.
workshops pay and go, because you know this is something that you're interested in, and you know some things you gotta pay for because it costs. You know, you guys gotta go into your pockets to get sponsors, gotta go in your pockets to put money to make sure that these people come and are comfortable and do what's necessary. But sounds really interesting. I'm telling you, I am sold, and I know for sure that many others are sold. And it's this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
BVILitFest.com.
BVILitFest.com, and all the details are there for you to. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you for having me, Kathy.
Awesome conversation. You know, I love the way that, you know, things keep happening to keep our interest, you know, on spot in different areas. You know, sometimes we tell ourselves, okay, I'm just a journalist, I'm going to stick there. But no, venture out, do other things, explore other things, and that's what things like the Lit Fest is doing. I'm glad to know that you're going from strength to strength.
Thank you very much, Kathy.
All right, so there you have it this weekend. Get your calendars set out. What's the website again? BVILitFest.com. Get the information and make all the changes. You don't necessarily have to go party. You could go do a different kind of party in this weekend, okay? Thank you so much, Dr. Georges, for coming, and thank you for joining us for this edition of The Big Story. I'm Kathy Richards.
know that where you choose to bank matters, and it is your vote on what your funds do in strengthening our community. As your official Bank of Paradise, we invest and support the lifeblood of our economy by helping in the realization of personal goals for homeownership, education, and entrepreneurial visions, which support small businesses. We make it our place to connect with persons and worthy causes, and we have been doing so for more than 30 years. Where your money goes and what your dollars empower are your choice. And we thank you for choosing us, a bank that gives where it matters the most, for you, for our community, and a happier tomorrow. The National Bank of the Virgin Islands.
Everyone looks to the future, but no one truly knows what the future holds.
The number of people under the age of 20 with type 2 diabetes could increase by 49% by 2050. Let it be known that we all have a 30% chance of developing hypertension.
Globally, more than 300 million people of all ages suffer from depression.
More than 60,000 young adults aged 20 to 39 are diagnosed with cancer each year. Obesity leads to problems such as stroke, heart disease, and kidney failure.
No matter your race, age, or color, we are all at risk.
These diseases can be managed or prevented if caught early.
But with the right medicine and the right doctors to keep us on a path to live a robust and healthy life,
we will live well.
Plug into Digicel Plus and get even more entertainment with Disney Plus included. The best of Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, and National Geographic all in one place. Whenever you want, plug into Plus to enjoy Disney Plus and much more with a home fiber bundle. Sign up today. Digicel Plus.